The recording
Okay.
has started.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. It's 7:43 p.m. My name is Gail Grant. I'm the chair of the Youth and Education Committee for Community Board 17, and I am calling the meeting to order. I am going to ask everyone, and I will call your name as I see you on the screen to please identify yourself and state whether you're a board member, committee member, or just one or the other. So I'm going to start with Hyacinth.
Hi, my name is Hyacinth Charles. I think I'm a committee member.
Yes.
And do you need me to say anything else?
No. I was
All
just
right.
saying hello and thank you for being here. Tashina. Tashina B.
Maybe she's.
Can you hear me?
Nope.
Okay, Tashina. Kai Phillips.
Hello. I'm a recently appointed board member. So I'm not quite sure how the process works, but I think that's it. But I am interested on being a part of this board, this committee, I mean.
Committee. Okay. Well, nice. Welcome. So Miss Farah, if you can get an application to Miss Phillips so she can fill it out and, officially become a member, that would be great. And we'll add you to our list. So welcome to Community Board 17 and welcome to our Youth and Education Committee also. Noreen George.
Did you say George? Mm-hmm.
No, Noreen.
Oh, Doreen George. Oh.
Noreen, are you there, Noreen? Okay. Deidre Lavelle. Are you there, Miss Lavelle?
They're not hearing.
Oh, I know. Okay. Miss Bilal.
Hi, I'm Bilal from Bridging Access to Care.
Welcome. How are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you. Miss Bilal, you became a member, correct?
I don't believe so.
I don't. So, okay. Yeah, I know I had to change that. I think I know what happened. But welcome. It's the same. Miss Mickle.
Hi, I am Muley Mickle, a proud committee member.
Hi, Miss Mickle. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in.
Awesome. Mr. Tate.
Good evening, everyone. This is George Tate, committee member.
Thank you, Mr.
Are you a
Tate.
board member too, Mr. Tate?
No, I did not reapply. I needed a break. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Miss Farah, can you send the link to Miss Graham's personal email?
I sent it to her 012 gram email.
Okay. But she's saying she could not get into the personnel email. All right, so I'll tell her that you did. Okay. Terry.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Committee member.
Thank you. Venencia. Am I Cologne? Am I pronouncing it correctly? Venancia Cologne. Are you there? Okay. Pamela Simon.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Pamela Simon. Good evening. Welcome back, Miss Grandison. I'm happy you're feeling better. You look well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I am a committee member, I believe. I signed up to be, when I hear board member, I know there are different roles, so I'm not, we always flipping back and forth. It's like, which is which? But I'm sure I did the basic committee member. I'll inquire later.
Okay. So are you a board member also?
No, I only filled out an application for one thing, and to my understanding, I was signing up for various committees at that
For
time.
the committees. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how to go about board or what's the responsibility, so I don't know.
Oh, the board is a application that is filled out that comes from Borough Hall. It's a much more a more bigger process than this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let's see if anyone else came on. Why? CK Price.
Good evening, all. I believe I'm a committee member, and I apologize for having been missing the last few months.
That is fine. Glad to have you here. Miss Lavelle said she's having issues before muting. Okay, that is fine. We'll come back. Tashina also can't unmute. Okay. But we know you're here. Mr. Alberic.
Good evening, everybody. I am a committee member and a recent board member as well.
Oh, you're on the board. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Hyacinth Tashina. Let's see, who did I miss? Miss Duncan.
Yes.
Introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. Natasha Duncan, board member, committee member.
Welcome, welcome, Miss Duncan. Let's see who else. I see Shamira Bugsby.
Oh, good evening, everyone. I'm unclear about board or committee member status. I know I filled out some applications that was sent to me by email. I attended the last meeting, but I must have missed the roll call in the beginning. So yeah.
You are committee member.
Okay.
So we do have you now.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you are here. Miss Swaby Kamara, please identify yourself.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Kamara Swaby. I am a community board member and also a committee member.
Okay. Awesome. Let's see. I see call in user 1.
That might be me, CK Price.
Oh, okay.
My computer's being funny, so there was a huge lag.
Oh, okay. No problem. Okay, let's see. Edith Mark. Edith, can you please unmute?
Yes,
and then,
I'm here. Yes, hi, how are you? I'm a community board member and also a member of the committee youth and education.
Awesome, awesome.
All right, thank you.
All right, let me just get you in here, Miss Mark, so that we have, okay. Let's see. I think that's it. If there's anyone who I did not call their name, please let me know.
Monica McCain Brown, committee member.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss McCain. I thought I called you earlier. Wait. I'm sorry.
Hello,
I'm gonna
are
put
you
this
able
in
to hear me?
Okay, I got you. Benancia.
Hi, I logged on with my phone now, so I'm able to hear you, but I didn't.
Okay.
I heard you before, but I couldn't answer. I'm a community board member, and good evening. I'm glad to be here with you guys.
Good evening. Okay. Your board, you said you're a committee member also, or just a board member?
A board member. I mean, I did sign up for the youth committee, so
Okay.
I don't know if you have me down.
Okay. Miss Farah, did you you have any other new members that signed up?
There
I'm
was a
adding.
couple of them, but I haven't had a chance to add them to the list.
Okay.
But they will be added to the list by tomorrow.
Okay. So I'm adding Miss Cologne and Miss Simon also. Let me see. I think those were the only two that wasn't on there. So when you go into the document, you'll see the names at the bottom, and you can just add in all the other relevant information. That would be great. Okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you all for being here. It's a rainy Wednesday, and we're gonna make the most of it today or tonight. So I want to move on to the chairperson's report. So I just want to ask, did anyone went to the town hall last week, Wednesday at Meyer 11 that was held, CB 17, Community Board 17 was hosting it along with Councilwoman Farah Lewis and Councilman Chris Banks? Were you guys?
I did.
Yes, I saw you, Mr. J. Was anyone else aware of it?
Hi, this is Terry. I was not aware of that. I didn't get any information regarding that meeting.
I was aware of it. I was told, but I was told during a time where I had to work because I just found that I made it before, but I was told about it last week. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to see, whether people were aware of it. And, in terms of something like that, it kind of followed the same format as the mayor's town hall that he had. And I'm just wondering if we are doing a good job of marketing these things.
We didn't do
that is fine.
We didn't do it last week because it was Mother's Day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Ma'am, can you mute? Miss Graham, thank you, dear. I'm just wondering, like, we have the newsletter, but something which I thought it was quite important, and it wasn't that people weren't there, folks were there and everything. But I thought that this was like the perfect opportunity because we don't always get to speak at the regular board meeting because it's, time is limited. And then sometimes what happens is when some of these agencies come up to present, it might be on a specific issue, something that's happening in the community. But this town hall generated, a bunch of different agency folks, and you had to write out the questions and ask, and there was a moderator who read out, the questions that were given to him. And I think that these kind of formats they really work much better than when an agency comes to the general board meeting and make a presentation, because people have so many questions, especially the Department of Transportation. We know that we've got not transportation, sanitation. There's always questions flying at them because there's so many issues and with sanitation in our community and stuff like that. But this is something that I would love to see community board do outside of the general board meetings, that maybe each year hold a town hall and bring these agency in, and I call it holding these agencies accountable, because if you're coming to our community to speak to us, that means that you got to do your homework on us. You got to know what is happening. You've got to be abreast of the issues, and the responses have to be feasible, that we understand what is going on, and not only we on speaking to them, but they have a full get a full mouthful, I want to say, from the residents of this community, in terms of how we're being treated and what we would like to see, or how we would like things to be done differently. So I thought it was a really great event that we had, and I would love to see it happen every year. It was just the council people, and we know that our council district is not only Lewis, Banks, but if Mealy, Councilwoman Mealy was there also, and maybe our state representative, just to hear from them what is happening, and some of the things, because I would think in terms of the funding that they might be giving, the city, or bringing into the community, of how we're getting things done in there. So I'm glad for those, who could have attended. It was really great. If you didn't, maybe there's another opportunity sometime down the line for this to happen. But I call it holding these agencies accountable, and, hitting them with the questions that we don't always get answers to. Next, Sesame Flyers is going to be hosting its annual sports day on Saturday, June 7th. It's at noon at the Old Boys High Field, which is located at 777 Rutland Road. Ms. Farah, when we're finished, can you please share the flyer with the committee?
Yes, I
You
can.
can take your family and, go there. Last time I went, I got there a little late, but it's a vibe. It's a whole field day thing. If you're an organization, you can contact Sesame Flyers, because I think they're also looking for people to table at that event, or to help, to volunteer or what. So if you are an organization and you're on this call and you think that's something that you would like to get some visibility, please contact Sesame Flyers around that. If you're an organization on the call, or your school, or any kind of academic facility, and you have kids who are graduating, we now have a form that you can fill out to receive graduation certificates. So for those who are not aware, each year, Community Board 17 creates, based on I would say in partnership with the schools or daycares or what, we get asked to create graduation certificates for the kids. It could be for academics, outstanding academic performance. It could be outstanding attendance, anything that they feel relative, to give these kids. We create these certificates and we send them back to the school. We do not always hand them out, but if a school requests that a member of the committee or a member of the board to be present to hand out these committees, these certificates, then if we have someone available, then they can do that. But you can just spread the word. If you have graduating, and it can be from kindergarten, it doesn't have to be necessarily 12th grade, kindergarten, and up to first grade or pre-K to first, whatever grade it is. We have a form. I'm going to ask Ms. Farah to please share the link to that form with you, and you can send it out. I see 2 participants have raised their hands. I'm looking to see. This is really funny because I don't see hands raised here. So who raised their hands?
Mine is
Or
Ms.
Shamira
Grandison, I
Busby.
raised my hand to find out how many certificates each school will receive, if it has a cap on it.
So we're trying to, I know last year somebody had like maybe 20 or so. I don't mind doing them as long as it's they give us time, right? I don't, because I don't want to take away that from the schools, but I would say 50 might be a little excessive. 30 might be a lot, but I'm willing to compromise, especially if we receive them within a timely manner. Miss Farah, wait, let me look. Oh, I don't have it on this one. Miss Farah, do you remember what's the deadline we had for their certificates?
If you give me 1 minute, I will be able to get that for you.
Okay, I'm looking also. As I said, I'm going back and forth to these 2 different emails. But if you can find that, please let me know so I can continue.
It's May 30th.
May 30th. Okay. And the reason why we started doing a deadline is because we've had folks from the schools wait till like 2 days before to send us, in emails and saying, hey, can we get these certificates for the kids, and stuff like that. And it's not that we don't want to do it, but it was just a bit time consuming. It's not something that we rush. We do have a template. And between me or Ms. Farah would do them, and depending on our work schedule, we may not be always able to get them, done in time. So far, we've received from 6 different schools, so we're going to start working on those. So if you know of anyone who wants the certificate, please share the form with them. Someone else had their hand up.
I was just gonna ask if it's not limited to just public schools, right?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
And will there be
Any academic facility.
And will there be a little flexibility considering that we're almost at the tail end of May? Is there an alternate date beyond the 30th for people that may be finding out about it now?
Well, I'm going to say when this is like the middle of May, so we still got like 2 weeks to go. It all depends on when your graduation is. So I am willing to work with anyone. I just don't want that someone waits till like the day before their graduation and send us I need this by tomorrow, 3:00 or 2 days before, right? I don't want to do a rush job because sometimes it might be possible, sometimes it might not be. But I'm willing to work with that person or that school if it goes beyond the deadline. Fair?
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Let's see. So on Friday, May 16th, the John Bunyan family is having the Erasmus Street co-naming ceremony. Ms. Farah, I'm going to ask you to please send out this information to the committee also to see if anyone is interested in going and that they get the full details of why they're co-naming Erasmus, that street around there, to John Bunyan, who was, if I remember the details correctly, he taught at Erasmus for a number of years, phys ed and sports and stuff like that. And the family came to the board along with other members asking for him for his dedication within that school to have the street co-name. And it was approved, and it will be happening on Friday, May 16th. And if you're interested in going, the link, and I missed this myself, the link to see the details is in the first paragraph where it says Erasmus School co-naming, and you just click on that and the details comes up. Okay. Walt Whitman, MS246, is going to be having a community school forum on Wednesday, May 28th. They're located at 72 Veronica Place. It's from 4 to 6 once again. If you're interested in, because I think they're looking for folks to like table also or what, please, you can call the school. I'm going to give you the number. You can call and inquire about the details of it. Now, the community school director, I only found this out this week, Rhonda Watson, who was the person to contact around this, is no longer there. I guess whoever replaced her or the principal or who's there would be able to give you details. I put the number in the chat and the extension, but if you just want to go to the forum, it's from 4 to 6 p.m. on May 28th, and that's a Wednesday. Just to highlight, our annual spelling bee will be on June 28th, and it will be in partnership with Chase, JP Morgan Chase Bank, and PS235. It will be held at the bank in which they're doing a backpack giveaway that day, and then they're also doing a short financial presentation. All the flyers and the rules and the words and everything will be sent out tomorrow. We will send this to the committee also, members. Ms. Farah? So please make sure, well, I'll put it in my email, but the committee members should all receive the packet with all the information around it. And we're giving out the gifts as usual, laptops, tablets, and a $75 gift card. We're asking if anyone can donate to the gift card. Please let us know. You can call the board, speak to Ms. Farah, and she will be able to give you more details. Or if you want to buy the gift card yourself and bring it in, you can bring it to the office and give it to Ms. Frazier or Miss Farah. Okay. So
what time?
I'm sorry, Mr. Tate?
Yeah, what time would it be? I was trying to put it on my calendar.
Yes, 4 o'clock, 4 p.m. And it will be at the JP Morgan Chase Bank, located on Utica Avenue between Snyder and Church Avenue.
Thank you.
I will also need some judges for that event. So if you're available and would like to we need at least 3 judges. And we also need someone to call the words. So if you have someone in mind, or if you want to be a judge, please let me know. You can send me an email, or you can call me, or text me, and just let me know. We will start to set that up in June. Okay. And that ends my report. Ann H. Miss Ann, you have a question? I see your hand is raised.
Yes, I'm sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to know the value of the gift card. What is the expected value of the gift card?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Okay, I'm having some trouble with my mic, but I wanted to know the value of the gift card, the expected value.
Oh, it's
Let me put
$75.
$75. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm
Miss
gonna try to.
Miss Grandison, what time is the spelling bee?
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
Yes.
On the 28th?
On the 28th of June. That's a Saturday.
Okay. And where it's gonna be?
At the Chase Bank, the one next to Monique's office. On Chase between Church and Snyder.
Okay, they have a big space like that?
So they're doing it in the foyer.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not terribly big, but
What are the age
we're
groups?
looking at doing theater style and stuff, and we just have to see how many applications we get, and see how this works out.
What are the age groups?
It is from 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th.
No 8th?
Did we do 8th, Miss Fargo? No, I think it goes up to 7. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Yeah. Yeah. We have to talk next year about expanding this. I think, when was it? Last year, we had this conversation, and there was, some recommendations to just leave it at that age group between elementary and middle, because I wanted to bring in the high school, but I want to revisit that. And the fact that we don't have a lot of high schools, I think, in our community, but public. We do have other high schools in we have what's that one that's down on Brooklyn Avenue? That's one of them. And then we have the ones in the Tilden campus. That's 3. A lot of our charter schools go to middle schools. So to be revisited next year to see if we should add a 8th to 9th grade, and how this goes. Any other questions?
I was just thinking, if we're going to use the middle grade, the middle school, then why did we not go to the 8th grade? Because the middle school is the 6th to 8th. Why did we?
Yeah.
Why did we not include the 8th graders?
That's a really good question, because we started doing this so many years ago, and I can't remember why we didn't do 8th grade.
I do believe we did the 8th grade in the past.
We did.
I think we did.
I do believe
And you know what, Miss Grandison, some schools are K to 8.
Right.
Yeah. You know what? We probably did. I can't remember. I'm trying to get into the drive to
do high
see.
schools.
Because the 8th graders are leaving the middle school, and that would be an opportune time for them to get something.
Yeah, I think we did. think we did do the eighth graders.
Before.
Yeah. Oh, I think what we did was that we made it like, I think around the age thing or what, but I'm gonna look into it. Because I know we probably did have some eighth graders within there, the sixth to eighth grades within that, but we didn't get a lot of them. So I'll look back at the information, but we'll be doing the same thing again. Also, if there's anyone, 1, 2, 3, 4 people besides those who I need for the judging and to call the words, to just help us put this all together and, get all the logistics and everything else together, I would greatly appreciate your help. Any other questions? Okay. So before we go any further, is that a question, Ms. Graham, or are you giving me the thumbs up?
Thumbs up. Yes, count me in. That's what I was looking for the chat. I don't see no chat.
Okay.
I think I see it now.
Let's see. I think we can. So everyone has received the minutes. I want to approve the minutes. So I'm gonna give you like a minute or so to please look over the minutes. So we have minutes from February. And I want you to, we have February, we have April, and February, March, and April minutes. So please look over them. Let me know if there needs to be any corrections. You're saying yes, Miss? Who said yes? Okay, what I'm gonna do.
I had an addition that I wanted to recommend.
And who's speaking? Is that
CK?
CK? Go ahead, please.
We mentioned in the minutes that we haven't.
Which one? Which one?
Definitely April. I've looked at it a few days ago. Definitely, or not, yesterday. Definitely the April minutes. Probably the earlier ones as well. I just noticed it with the April minutes. When we talk about whether or not we I can't find the word now. I'm going to say ratify the minutes from previous months. We don't specify which months. I would just ask that we specify which months that we needed to, whatever we're doing now with the minutes.
You're saying that you want during this call to say which minutes. So I said February, March, and April.
No, I'm saying in the minutes themselves, we don't say that we say we didn't get to.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right.
Yeah, sorry, I can't find that
It
word.
just said minutes were not voted on.
Right. I would just like to specify which minutes.
Right.
That's all.
I got you. In April. So, Ms. Farrer, could you make that correction?
Yes, I can make that correction.
Thank you. Any other edits, things that we need
I'm
to...
sorry, excuse me. Were the minutes
Yes.
sent via email?
Yes.
I get everything else, but I didn't get those. I didn't get those minutes. Do you know when
Who
it was
didn't?
sent?
Terry. So I'm seeing the email with it. It was sent 1:15 a.m.
Yeah.
This morning.
And it was also sent last week, I think.
Am I correct, Ms. Farah, that the latest reminder about the meeting was sent at
This morning.
1:15 this morning, today, on the
Today.
14th?
So sorry about that. I've been having some power outages issues because of the weather. So that's why it's taking some time. Yeah, I submitted it this morning, so like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. And when you send the original email, were the minutes included or just the agenda?
The minutes were not included at that time because we're having some issues with WebEx. So there was a lot of back and forth with that in terms of the recording, but as soon as I got that available, I was able to create the minutes and send them out to everybody.
Okay. Ms. Farah, do we have, I want to say.
Hi, Terry again. I was able to locate them. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay, great. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Valencia just asked a question in the chat. Sorry, Venancia. The minutes for February are dated for 2024.
That's a
Thank
typo
you
and that
for
can be
catching
rectified.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, any other corrections? Yeah. 34. Let's see if we have quorum. 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. That's 9. And 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, we have quorum. Oh, wow. By 1. Okay. Any more corrections?
Yeah, in the February, the presentation by Dr. Williams, did that state hosted by Dr. Florence St. John?
In the February one?
Yeah, down at the bottom, the presentation, Dr. Reverend Ed Williams. And
right. In February, there will be a seminar.
line, is that doctor? Should it be Dr.?
Yes. Ms. Farah, please make that correction also.
Okay.
I think I sent you some earlier. Anything else anyone sees that we need to make correction? Okay, so I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the minutes with the corrections Wait, I want to make one other correction. It's Mr. Alberic. In the March meetings, and the spelling of his name is incorrect. Miss Bilal needs another L.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You got that, Miss Farah?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so can I please get some, if there's no other, we haven't noted any other corrections.
On the
Can I please?
one
Yes.
more, please, in that same one that you just mentioned, under new business, the last line, the last bullet, the speaker series will feature Ms. Bilal and April, and is that also supposed to be Mr. Albert?
Yes, I just told her to correct that. Yes.
Not in the roll,
Shall we
but
just-
also in that bullet. Okay, okay.
Yeah. It's Neil Alberic. That's, the spelling is incorrect.
And in the last bullet, it has Mr. Albrecht. So I was wondering if that's also Mr. Albrecht also.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that's what I just told Miss
Okay. All right.
Farah to correct, that she had his name spelled incorrectly.
Okay.
And I do apologize that sometimes the names comes up wrong, because it's a recording and it's also AI generated. But I am going to ask that, you know, especially if we have speakers and we do have a contact list with, you know, the members' name and stuff, that when doing the minutes, like, let's Ms. Farah just be aware, if it sounds, or the AI generated version of it, you know, spells it incorrectly, like, try to just recheck the names to make sure that those folks who were on the call or presenting or what, that you do have their names. It may come out wrong, but as you're in the meeting, you would know who spoke and, you know, who was a guest speaker or who was there or not. Okay, so if there's no other corrections, can I please get a motion to approve February, March, and April of 2025 minutes with the corrections as noted?
George State, make a motion to approve the February, March, and April youth committee meetings with the noted corrections.
I,
Thank you.
Kamara
TK
Swayze.
Price second.
I second too.
Okay, I I heard like
Sorry.
2 or 3 people. I did you catch any, Miss Farah?
I heard Miss Swaby and I heard a gentleman speak. I wasn't able to catch the name.
Okay, who wants to make the the clarity on who's the second?
I heard
I
Miss
can go.
Swaby.
Hi, I can do it again.
Okay.
I, Kamara Swaybe, second the motion.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. It's hard to hear sometimes. Okay, so let's move on quickly. So I just want to talk quickly before we get into our full discussion around this parent networking event. So what I wanted to do was to have a night where we all just come together at the board office and we start to speak around some of the issues that are, you know, affecting our schools, in-house or internally within our schools or externally or what. You know, I had a few people signed up but I'm also wondering, like, are people just going to show up? And I would love for you as community members to come out. We're going to have some light refreshments, but we're just going to sit around and have a conversation, because we do want to hear from other folks what is happening in our schools. And this is like the opportunity that I wanted to open up for people to do it. So if you can be there, if you can, it could be kids also, because who are the best people to tell us what is happening in their schools, that some of the issues that they're encountering, better than our kids who are actually sitting in the schools, in these classrooms, right? And parents also. So invite your friends, or, bring a family member or what, come out that night. Let's just talk. And then let's see how we can use this information from what we're hearing to see if we can come up with any solutions, whether they be to the school itself, whether it to be our elected officials. But let's just try, get to learn and to understand what is happening right now. And then I want to move on to our conversation around the U.S. Department of Education discussion. And we're going to talk about this for like 15, 20 minutes, then move on. And I know I say this, Mr. Alvarez, you asked, what's the date again? The date for...
The date for the where we're going to speak about the schools.
Oh, it's May 22nd. Was it 6 p.m., Miss Farah?
I believe so, but let me confirm.
I'll put the date, 6/27 at 6 p.m. And it's at 41 to Forget Road. It's
from
right
6
behind.
p.m. to 8 p.m.
Yeah. Okay.
And the location? I'm sorry. Location?
Yeah, the Farragut, the board office. I don't know. People say I call it in front of the Pathmark or behind, but by Pathmark. And Miss Swaby, you said, can we put the flyer for this event in the chat? Which the parent networking? Kamara?
So sorry. The flyer was for that same event, the May 22nd parents group meeting. So sorry.
Okay. I'll get it in there. Or Miss Farrer, do you have it that you can put it in the chat, please? Or just send it to all the board members.
I can forward
I'm sorry,
it to
the
them,
committee
yeah.
members. Okay.
I'll forward it to them.
So, we know that there's some changes happening within the U.S. Department of Education. And some, I don't even know how to say it. It's going to, especially with the funding part, it's going to affect our schools, right? Now, the U.S. Department of Education provides about 5% of the funding for New York City public schools. And, there's been some wranglings around cuts to mental health programs, which the feds were funding. And this was one of the questions at the town hall. The person representing the USDOE was District 17 Superintendent Celeste. And then the principal of Miss Hendrickson, I think that's her name, at Mary 11, right? So from what I was told, I asked this question about the funding being cut for DOE and how it would affect, or those children who are who usually utilize those programs and need those programs is that what they will try to do is, they will bring in, I think it's New York Serve, use, what's the AmeriCorps, try to use AmeriCorps students to fill in where it's necessary and where they can, and then see about private funding or other fundings to, keep all these, to try to keep the programs sustainable. But it's going to be hard, and it's not an easy task. So we've seen things like that has been, it's happening, and, programs might be cut because of what depend on what the program is and how the feds decide, the administration is like, hey, I don't think that, it's that the money, because what I'm hearing is that, yeah, they have these programs, but the money is not really going towards the program. It's doing other things or going other places. Could be. I don't know, because I don't run programs, so I'm not going to, put anything together to say, well, this is true or not true. But it's about, for FY25, they gave about $2.2 billion to the Department of Education, to New York City Department of Education. And this money was, part of it was for Title I. It was for special ed. It was part of the money for that was part of the American Rescue Plan. And I think that money is finishing up either this year. So that's going to be a loss to the city. It also, Department of Agriculture gives about $588 million for this school year. But we also know that there's potential funding risk. So there's the whole DEI policy dispute, and that the administration is threatening to withhold federal funding from districts that did not eliminate the DEI programs. New York State refused to comply. That's a whole nother mess. And then with the whole restructuring, the proposals is to either dismantle or reduce the the services within the US DOE. And, of course, it trickles down because it's going to disrupt the flow of federal funds. And, as I just said, like the mental health program, so we're already hearing about that. And, of course, who gets affected when these funding cuts or these programs get eliminated altogether is the most vulnerable student population. So we are seeing a different time, things are happening. And I think what I really would like us to think about is, what can we as a community do? And when I say as a community do, so if it means then that all the funding now is going to come to the state, right? To New York State. And does this mean that now we as folks have and all the control and everything, because the U.S. Department of Education was just, it provide oversight. It was, there were compliance that you had to comply with federal law and all these things and rules and policies and stuff they had into place. So we're seeing, okay, now if they're saying, well, states, you are responsible for distributing this money. It might be a block grant, how they give the state or what. You're now responsible for your schools. We are no longer have any compliance, anything over you. This is all at you. You now have the freedom to design your curriculums, your programs, how the money is distributed, where it goes, you know, the formulas, all of this. Let's just say all of this happen. I feel like we as people in the community, that one of the things I hope will happen, and I just hoping, is that maybe our state elected officials will want to meet with people in the communities to just hear what ideas they have in terms of how things should be done differently or should they remain the same. And I'm going to open up that question to you guys to hear, what do you feel, or how do you feel about all of this? And are there opportunities here for us to have a voice, or do we just leave it as it is?
Well, hi, Terry. Can I
Terry.
just say, I think it's, our children, education to me in a lot of countries is like the number one factor. And I believe when it comes to our education and our children, because look, they are our future leaders of tomorrow. Money should not be cut. Our children, need these schools, public schools or, charter schools, however they cutting this money, special ed, programming. Our children need these things. And I don't understand why they take it upon themselves now to make all these changes. And if they're pulling back all this money, what are they doing with it? And where is it going? It's a major effect to our children. Education is a number one tool, and we should be pouring more money into our children. These are our future. Programming, especially, get these young people off the streets and give them something to do on a positive note. So I'm very hurt behind this.
So let me ask you something, Terry. So if the money now, instead of the feds decide we are just giving the the State Department of Education, the money, where is that now? New York State is responsible for how this money flows down to the schools. What do you think should happen? Should we have a say? What do you think that the state should do?
It's our children. We should definitely have a say in it. It's our children. They're our future. I don't think we should be left out. And the schools know, parents know, the educators know what our children need.
I just want to say something. So I don't know if the opportunity is being offered, but at any time there should be a voice. No, never silence. In even a kindergartner could draw a picture, but if we were to, for example, present the idea of having students write a letter or some concern, or just expressing how the funds benefited them, and draw a picture, and then have some representation like parents signing, and then along with that, someone speaks on the behalf of that particular community.
So you're saying that we should do a letter writing campaign to the federal government or to the state government? Which
I don't know who is offering the opportunity. So I was saying, always take the opportunity. Who's offering it? Who's open to it? I thought perhaps it was being, would you like? Is it an opportunity, or do you have to ask for permission to do that? Is it always, what voice should always be expressed? And of course, all those who are impacted, parents and leaders, we always ask for money, but having the appeal of the students showing how it benefited them, whether it's through pictures or a small note that how they benefited from it. And in addition to that, that would be like a signature, in a, so to speak. and parents signing that they're aware, they're cognizant, and then a committee or leaders in a community present this along with what the kids did.
Yeah, I like that. Letter writing campaign from the students themselves asking, and I would say maybe it's to the federal government, because the dismantling is not an easy process. It's not going to happen overnight or what, but we do know that there's some funding that's being withheld or what. So if we get our students to say, hey, this has been cut in our schools, but here, hey, you never know, right? Kids' voices are powerful. There were two hands that I saw was up, but I don't see I can't
Yeah,
see on my
I have my
screen when
hand
I move.
raised.
It's
You're
not
gonna have
working.
to,
It's not working because I put my hand up and it didn't work.
yeah,
Yeah, so one, you mentioned AmeriCorps. AmeriCorps funding is also being drastically cut.
yep,
So there'll be limitations on that particular program. And if you realize a lot of the funding that is trickling down, particularly in New York, I mean, New York State is one thing, but it's the population in New York City that
yeah,
has a more concentration of people of color. So in that regard, I appreciate Pamela's idea around having the signatures and artwork and whatnot. But honestly, pitching that to the federal government will not really go far because they're not reading that.
right,
I mean, yes, it would catch someone's attention, but unless you are lobbying and you're going to Albany or even getting your city council and other elected officials really excited about wanting to support what is happening in the districts, that will be the start to really get the position in place. And then moving forward, ad campaigns are really good, but those things cost money. So might have to do some sort of homegrown video of the students in schools and figure out how you can get individuals to get the word out. Social media has been a wonderful tool. I mean, it has its pros and cons, but if you use it in the right way, you could possibly get the information out as best as possible, and keep it going, even if it's on TikTok. And maybe you can create a challenge where the students or children, youth can participate in this challenge where they can talk about how certain programs have impacted their lives. But truth be told, a lot of programs have been cut overall over time.
yes,
So, and even if it starts up, it gets, defunded at some point. So I think what we have to do is figure out a way to tap into the corporations
yes,
more so, and try to obtain funding in that way, because if a lot of them, particularly Target, who has lost enormous amount of money because of the blackout, if they want to try to figure out a way to do good, potentially they can provide funding to the schools, which they already have a mechanism in place, but really, putting forth some funding, if they have any left, towards areas that would really impact the communities, so that we can have some important programs in place for our youth. But otherwise, in the long haul, I could honestly say I've seen waves of funding come and go. So
yeah,
it's a matter of what's prioritized and what the true need is of of the city.
yeah. Thank you for that. I see Miss Judd say ACS is also cutting vouchers. Yes, yeah, that is true. Someone else had their hand up.
Yeah, CK.
Hi, CK. Go ahead, please.
3 points. First, the state budget that just got passed did not really seem to accommodate the fact that the federal government is not going to be giving its normal monies to the state. So they're probably going to have to come back for an emergency session later in the year and try to redo some of the budget.
Right. Okay.
So
Interesting.
that's one. Two, and I guess I say this as a former community organizer, power concedes nothing without a demand.
I'm sorry, you said, or what?
Power concedes nothing without a demand.
Mm-hmm.
And I have learned that in many circumstances, it is better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
No permission. Okay.
And so I don't think it's an option about if we're going to advocate. It's about how we're going to advocate.
Right. I agree.
Oh, yep.
So 3, as to the how, there's more power in a closed fist than in an individual finger, which is to say, we shouldn't be trying to do it ourselves as just a community board. I think it would make the most sense to try to see where other community boards stand across the city. I think it would make sense to try to recruit community boards, relevant education-oriented community organizations, city council members who can then affect pressure on state electeds, because that's going to be more immediately felt. And then if you want to build from the state electeds to the federal, you can do that. At the moment, a lot of the leadership in the House, minority, consist of Brooklyn electeds because the speaker is from Brooklyn. So Yvette Clarke is in House leadership. I don't necessarily have a lot of hope on the federal level for at least 2 years or a year and a half as a result of how the elections have worked out at stopping these cuts. So I don't know how effective that would be, but I think our efforts would be best targeted right now to making sure that the state does what it can for us. I don't know how much that is or isn't. So that might be something to investigate along with trying to figure out who our allies are.
Right.
But to me, I think the most reasonable course would be to figure out who our friends could be if they're willing to work with us, and then work on our demands specific to what it is the results look like from the budget. So it can't just be a general, we want, and I've seen too many communities do that, too many groups do this. We want equity, we want fairness, we want, our demands have to be specific to certain programs, and we might just have to choose what things we specifically want to go for and allow other things maybe to get lost. Because that's life and you have to make hard choices sometimes. But I think we would be best served by having targeted messaging and targets for that messaging that can be most effective.
Okay. I agree with you on that. That targeting messaging makes more sense because you stick to the message and you focus on the message, and you work that angle and you show people, like, I think it presents itself in a better manner, like, okay, they've made a point, they know what they want, they have stated it, instead, as you say, oh, we want equity, we want fairness, or what, like, what does that mean, right? What does that look like across the board? So I do like the targeted method, which really gives a homegrown point.
One
We have
question.
about 2 minutes left. Yes, Miss Mickles.
Do our Congress people and our senators, do they hold town halls for us here? I've never heard of any one of them coming to hold any kind of town hall to tell us what's going on. You see it from all
No,
over
they
the other.
haven't.
They don't. So we need to demand that they come to us, the communities, not one community, but the communities in Brooklyn here, to tell us what they are doing for us. And then we find the opportunity to tell them what we want. So
Yeah.
it would call for a lot of organization because I think we're not doing enough in these communities.
I
Well,
think
this
Jeffries, the speaker, has, but he doesn't represent
right.
any of our
It's not in
district.
our district, right? But the point that you made, Mr. Price, in terms of we can't do it ourselves, I so agree with you on that. It would be great, even if it's the community boards across Brooklyn, or if we can get them, or even you know, our neighboring community boards, 19, 17, even if we
Come
get
together.
together, you know, that
Brains
would
for
be
a day.
powerful. You know, the unity in that, and to create those targeted messages, that would be much more helpful than what we have. We do not see, we'll probably see our elected officials, maybe all of them, or next month at the next board meeting in June, because that's the end. You usually see there's some that comes at the beginning and some that comes at the end. You know, I have to say that between Monique and Farah are the two that I see mostly at the board meetings, like that. But the state, federal, it's really hard. I guess it's depending on the timing that they have. But I want to continue this conversation at our next meeting. And what I've been taking some notes, and I'm going to put them together, but I want us to think more about this, what those targeted messages. So I'm like kind of giving you homework to leave with, like what those targeted messages can be. And even if it's one, or and well, it has to be more than one, because we know, you know, it's impacting or young folks in a lot of different ways. But what does those targeted messages look like? And, you know, how can we move on this? Do we get, you know, can we then say, okay, well, the next step is let's see if we can convene a call or a meeting with some other community boards, to see, you know, if they're, you know, what are they doing also? It's like a call, I don't want to say a call to action, but a call to messaging. And let's see if our community board partners are willing for us all to take a stance on this. I saw something in the chat. We can request those federal elected come to a committee or board meeting. I would say let's do it as a committee, because everybody at the board meeting may not have this interest in this, and you know, this conversation, not to keep it here, because I don't want to keep it just here, but I just want us to gather more information and more steam, because I don't know, it would have to be, if we have a messaging, we have a presentation, then maybe we can present it to the community board. But I don't mind asking, you know, those, and right now I know it's just Yvette Clark or what, you know, to come to a committee meeting, just so. But I want us to have something much more concrete to present. I really wouldn't like this to be just, oh yeah, they came up with something else, and yeah, we're gonna just sit down and hear them speak and talk, and then nothing more of it. I want us to be very, you know, precise in what we're saying, what we're asking. And if we can bring other community boards on board with us with this messaging, this would be really strong and powerful. Okay.
I think we should also include the principals of the schools.
Well,
because
yeah,
they
it
know
would be
what
the
they want.
community.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Of course, we're definitely including our school community in
Right.
this. This is why we're doing this. You know, they are the organic folks on the ground that's being affected by all of
Right.
this. So this is why we're doing this. Mr. Price, you say whoever we may be, huh? Okay.
Ms. Grandison, I'm suggesting that we also invite the chair of the education committee, Ms. Joseph, Chair Joseph.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't say it, but you know, Miss Joseph, the principals, parent PTAs,
Everybody.
parent coordinators, yeah, everybody. You know, they're saying like call everybody,
And
everybody.
CEC and CEC.
Yes.
Because you know what,
CEC.
in all honesty, when we go to meetings, sometimes we're just not allowed. The CEC will be that voice, or a lot of times it's Chair Joseph. Some principals are not allowed to say certain things. So they would
Really?
yield to the CEC that would speak for them.
Yeah. Well, this will be a different kind of meeting, right? And we want to hear all voices. We want this messaging to be strong and on point. And, you know, as I said, the folks in the schools are the organic folks going through this, raising our kids, teaching them, you know, they would know better than, you know, just the general person who don't have a kid in the school, or who doesn't have kids, or what is happening. So we need to get all these folks on board. And I think, you know, getting our community boards, especially the youth and education division of the committees, for us to come together to have this conversation. So I don't want to keep you guys any longer, but I think in our next meeting, we can take a next step to talk a bit more about what is the messaging and who definitely we want to collaborate with around this. So I am going to move on. Is there anything anyone wants to share quickly with the committee? Anything that's happening? Events that I didn't mention, you know, information sharing. No one? Okay. Mr. Price, when we next week, let's talk some more if you're at the meeting, at the board meeting, okay? Okay, with that, I didn't hear anyone. So ladies, I know I didn't get to, because we met after, but I hope you guys had a wonderful, spoiled Mother's Day, and that, you know, your kids and family spoiled you rotten last Sunday, and you did not have to do anything but be pampered. So, belated Mother's Day wishes to all of you. But it is now 9:06 p.m. and I would like to call to adjourn the Youth and Education Committee. Can I please get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting of the Youth and Education Committee.
Thank you, Ms. Graham. Can I get a second, please?
I, Mulene Mickle, beg to second.
Thank you, Ms. Mickle. Upon that, the Youth and Education Committee meeting has now ended. I thank each and every one of you for attending. Be well, have a great weekend, and I will see you next month. God spare life. Thank you and good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.